Remember who's here.
That's right, man. It's a dedicated one. All right, go ahead, guys. You guys want to go over injuries?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Pettis is the only one who's for sure out. Questionable is going to be Breida, Goodwin, McGlinchey, Richburg, Staley, Sherman, and Ward. Ward's the new one. He tweaked his hammy at the end of practice yesterday. He's had a history with it, so he didn't practice today. We'll see how it feels on Sunday.
How did Joe Staley look today?
He looked good. His first day out, it was, all of them, the fact that they were out there, it'll give them a chance to go on Sunday. We'll see how they feel then. Hopefully they'll feel 2 days better than they were today.
And Goodwin, how's he coming along?
About the same. It will without a doubt be a game time decision. I'd say it's 50-50.
Do you guys go over at all the fact that the Cardinals have won 7 in a row against you? Like, do you get into that kind of history thing?
No, I just found that out, to tell you the truth, from you. No, I don't look that far back. I know they got us the last 2 games last year.
Right.
So we definitely remember those 2 well, me personally, and the guys who were here last year. It's a new coaching staff. Players change every year, so you don't go too much into that, but definitely would like to change that.
When you were researching CJ before the draft, I know obviously it starts with the tape, but when you did your deep background research, what did you find about just sort of how he is with his family and I know he has a young daughter and things like that. How much did that come up?
Not too much. I mean, we knew the history, with his, his last name and his grandfather and everything, and all the athletes that have been in their family, and the talented voices they also have in their family. CJ even has it a little bit. He sang at our players' party at the end of training camp, so he does a pretty good job. But he's from a special family. They've had a lot of people successful in a lot of different areas, and you never know for sure. I mean, until you get around someone, but. He's been very impressive since he's been here, the way he handles himself, and you can tell he was raised very well.
How can someone who's sort of unassuming still be a good leader that galvanizes people around him?
I think the biggest key in being a leader is being yourself. So, people will follow people who are themselves that have special qualities, and that's who CJ is. So he's not going to come in and try to be anything different for someone else. He's going to be the same guy he's been his whole life, and who that is something people respect. So there's nothing he has to try to do. He's not a loud guy, but if he thinks something's wrong, you will see no hesitation with that guy to correct it. The way he goes about it, he's not scared of confrontation. He's himself, and he's confident in that, and he does things the right way.
Have you spoken with Jimmy since his procedure and
just text. I haven't got a chance to speak with him yet. I'll actually probably call him here on my ride home. Hopefully he'll be awake. We'll see. He's probably relaxing, but I'm sure he's doing all right. I heard good news about it. Not to get into any real deep detail specifics, but which I usually don't remember or understand anyways. So when I ask how the surgery went, they say as good as it could have for an ACL. They give you the thumbs up and say it's one of the best ones they've had. So we expect it to be good news for an ACL surgery.
What about the timeline? Is there a rough timeline?
I haven't gotten a timeline yet. I know you guys will probably hold me to it, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to get into OTAs and do some non-contact stuff with throwing the ball and everything. It's always a little bit better when you're dealing with the quarterback and stuff as opposed to other positions, because you can get them in hopefully in 7-on-7 drills a little bit early and things like that, which help those guys get involved a lot faster.
So roughly June would be something where he could do some of this stuff.
Yeah, I'm also just guessing right now, and I wouldn't say for sure, but when someone tells me that they felt very good about the surgery and how it went, then that's usually about the normal timeline.
You mentioned on the radio today that you'd love to have the guys on defense up the middle sort of play together and build continuity. Do you attribute some of maybe the tackling issues or the unevenness on defense so far to the fact that so many guys have been shuffling in and out in the middle of the defense?
I mean, yeah, of course, but that's not everything, But I mean, that's any team. I mean, when you have guys in and out, and you don't, whether it's starters or backups and stuff, that's always going to affect teams. I compare up the middle in our defense very similar to how I compare our offensive line. When you're running zone scheme with 5 guys and usually a tight end right next to them, it's how the 6 of those guys move together and how they can adjust to things on the move. When you play 3-deep defense and you have 2 hook linebackers that sit in the middle who are almost responsible from, in between the hashes to about 3 yards inside the numbers. That's a lot of space for 2 guys reading eyes. And then you got a safety in the middle who's working with them. And then you got a guy coming down, a strong safety who rock and roll like this. So it's 4 guys who move with the quarterback's eyes, you can't defend everything. So when a quarterback looks somewhere, you guys got to move together to move back. And that's also tied into the rush and how quick the rush can get there. So when you play those type of schemes, the longer guys play together, the better they do. That was one of the best things Seattle had going for them. You can see that with Jacksonville. They have a number of guys. It started with Gus being there, but since they brought in the new guys and everything and kept most of the defensive staff, it's been a lot of the same players over and over again. Saw that in Carolina with a different scheme. Just going against Kuechly and Thomas Davis just for year after year, they all start to move together. That's what they're going through in Arizona too, just like us. It's a great scheme. They got some good players, but it takes time for 11 guys to work together.
You suggested this on the radio this morning, but are you impressed by the effort that Joe Staley is showing to try to get back for Sunday's game?
Yes, very impressed. I know it means a lot to him. I know he had a serious injury last week where I know he wanted to come back in the second half, but he couldn't. I know he's done everything this week to get himself ready to go. Today was his first day of practice. I know I said on the radio this morning, and I got him pretty early, and it's rare you see a player in the weight room at 5:40 just doing stuff to try to get ready for practice. So I know today was important to him just to give himself a chance to get out there because very rarely, if you can't show anything on Friday in practice, very rarely is it even an option to play on Sunday. So he showed enough. He worked hard He worked hard to where he was able to show enough to at least now we have a chance to play him on Sunday.
What kind of things could he do there at 5:40 to get ready for practice?
I'd have to guess. I've checked out of that for a long time. He's probably in the cryo chamber, where they freeze him, do stuff like that. He's probably doing a bunch of weird bends and things like that I'm sure Joe will tell you all about if you ask him. But everything he can do to get his body ready to work.
There was a unique ESPN report, not by Nick, but anyway, just saying that people in the league wanted you guys to trade for a higher profile quarterback like Nick Foles because you've got all these primetime games coming up. I assume you don't care that much about the TV ratings. Or do you even know about that, or what is your reaction to that if you're just...
I'm probably saying this right now. I laughed a little bit. It's very comical. I wish we could worry about that stuff and help people out. That's definitely the last of our worries. If you guys judge us on ratings and everything, and they gave us a trophy at the end of the year, a Super Bowl trophy for ratings, then I would maybe think that way, but that's not how it works.
As far as the X position, if Goodwin isn't able to play, is that Richie James?
Richie James will definitely be involved. With Pettis being out, we have till 1 o'clock tomorrow to decide. But Bolden will have an opportunity to come up possibly. We got to make that decision by 1 if we want to go with Bolden. So we kind of got to guess a little bit with how Keese is going to go based off Sunday. So a lot of stuff goes into that, but we got to decide on Bolden by 1 o'clock tomorrow.
And you're comfortable now with Bourne being able to play other spots besides?
Yes. It's not just him. It's a challenge for any receiver to be moved around a ton in games. It does put a lot of pressure on him. So you'd always like to make it easier for guys, but I was very impressed with him last week for stepping up, doing that when he wasn't preparing all week to do that. So he showed he had the ability to do that last week, and if need be this week, he's definitely more prepared for it, and I expect him to do the same, if not better.
Did you guys make a claim for Terrell Basham, the defensive end?
No, we didn't.
All right, good.
All right, guys. Thanks.
you.